At this point, the narrative realized that it had been neglecting the other 5 characters for too long, and with Dirk's attention elsewhere, the narrative shook free from the stranglehold he'd previously had on it, and it began to stretch its legs, wander around a bit. Let's see what Acorn's up to, the narrative thought to itself. Acorn was still freaking the fuck out. Okay, not up to that much, the narrative thought. How about Pawnee and John Betancourt? That could be interesting. Maybe we're finally addressing how Pawnee is simultaneously a town and a girl. Like, what's up with that? It kind of switches back and forth and sometimes it's both at once. I never asked about it, but it's been bugging me for a while. Oh, and I should also check them out because that Betancourt woman apparently wrote me, but only half of me? I don't really know what's going on anymore. Population 79,218. Incorporated in 1819. Pawnee was red in the face / municipality. Median household income $38,360. Sister city to Baragua, Venezuela. Current mayor Walter Gunderson. Official city tree Indiana common shrub. Read my lips. Pawnee motherfucking Indiana. Betancourt stood tall and haughty, refusing to be cowed anymore by the city / child. Lulu motherfucking Sanders, she countered, short for Lucinda. 5th grader at Wiggins Elementary, homeroom teacher Mr. Livingston, caretaker of the pony Snow White, who was owned by Mr. and Mrs. Baxter. Neither one is even listening to the other, the narrative realized. Looks like they're just in a holding pattern until other stuff's resolved. God, this story sucks right now. I guess I'll check on the other 2 girls, even though they're both just kind of lying over there on the ground. Now that I think of it, the ground hasn't been very well described really. It's just gray and misty. Like, does it have grass? Is it dirt? So dumb. You know what? I'm deciding that it's snow. There. That's canon now. Snow. Pam had 2 fingers on Anna's neck, monitoring the girl's weak pulse. Pam was whispering things to her that were so private and passionate that even the newly liberated narrative couldn't listen in. Free and direct disclosure holds no sway over those freer and more indirect than it. In a story full of secrecy and complexities, maybe the most mysterious character of all is the most human, Pam Crandall. Anna's eyes were still wide open, but they were no longer white. Now they were rapidly changing, flickering quickly between different hues, different sizes, different degrees of brightness and cloudiness. It was as if the eyes of dozens of people were fighting for dominance inside the body of this one small girl. It was terrifying. "Hey, what the fuck are you doing over there?" Dirk shouted to the narrative. "Get back inside my head!" Christ, I can't leave you alone for 2 goddamn minutes. The narrative meekly complied. It also decided that it would never wander off on its own again, because doing so was as confusing as it was self-indulgent. It would be best, the narrative thought, to treat the sequence as a stylistic flourish that isn't plot significant. Just the flailing of an author who can't think of a natural way to handle so many characters in the same place, so he resorts to weird bullshit in the hopes that no one will notice that it's masking incompetence. Minos looked bemused by Dirk's outburst. Is this another pretentious meta thing I wouldn't understand? Dirk sighed. Yeah, pretty much. Things are really coming apart at the seams now, unraveling, which is why it's so fucking imperative that you help me. As I was saying before you began yelling at nothing, Minos said, I can't vote now because I never heard Acorn's sins. What the hell are you talking about? Dirk said. He melted the snow, canon, to look Minos right in his bottomless kitty eyes. I read all of them to you and John 10 minutes ago. The cat sat up and shrugged. If you did, then I don't remember them. I'm sorry, but those are your own rules. We listen to you read the sins, then we judge. If I didn't hear the list, I can't, by the very logic that you wrote into our universe, make a ruling. Dirk uneasily looked around at the other characters in the dead forest clearing, knowing full well that any one of them could ruin everything if they got their act together and realized what was really happening. Fine, he said, looking back at the cat. I'll read them to you again. Will that fucking satisfy you? The cat nodded demurely. It certainly would. Dirk pulled the thin paperback volume out of his back pocket and began thumbing through it with a rapidity that suggested great familiarity. Multiple revisions prompted by care or by insecurity. Okay, bottom of page 53. We just finished the retrospectively unnecessary Socratic dialogue conceit, and Acorn was being sassy. Betancourt told him not to be an asshole. Then on the next page, Dirk flipped to page 54 and immediately went silent. Minos jumped onto Dirk's shoulder and read out loud. The two girls and the town trudged through the snow silently. Pawnee and Pam had left Lightning and Little Seb behind miles ago. Dirk was very still. That's not right, though. Pages 54 and 55? That's where I read all the sins out loud. It's just a really long list in a nigh unreadably tiny font. That's the joke. The cat arched its eyebrows. Tiny font is a joke? Dirk waved a hand at the animal on his shoulder dismissively. But now 54 is about the girls. Their story was supposed to end permanently on page 43 when Acorn leaves. It's not about them anymore. They're no longer relevant. Maybe they didn't want it not to be about them. Maybe there's more to the Pony Pals than you thought. After all, they somehow made it here. Dirk shut the book, stood, and closed his eyes. Nobody could tell that he closed his eyes because of his sunglasses, but I know because I'm him. So trust me, he closed his fucking eyes. Now is not the right time to start questioning my or his or our objectivity. Eye status shut tighter than something that's really tight. I don't have time for these elaborate similes anymore. Okay, Dirk said after a few seconds. Okay, new plan. I can still make this work. I've got it under control. Just as long as... And that's when Anna woke up. Anna's eyes, which had been flickering wildly, suddenly snapped back to their usual deep, cloudy brown. But now there was an otherworldly glow bordering her irises, as if the power inside Anna's skull was struggling to escape, but was being held in check by the girl's willpower alone. She began to stand. Pam, kneeling by her in the snow, gasped in shock and relief, and cautiously scooted away. To be completely honest, Pam's gasp was due to shock, relief, and fear. So much fear. As Anna stood, her robotic arm did not come with her. It remained on the cold ground, lifeless and motionless metal once more. Covering the stump where the cybernetic arm had previously connected to Anna's shoulder, there was now a shivering glaze of the same slowly pulsing light that struggled behind the girl's eyes. Again, as with the eyes, Anna seemed to be holding this power back, keeping it from shooting out of her shoulder in a solid beam of chaotic creation. Anna looked around the clearing as if seeing it, and everything, for the first time. The cat and the boy had stopped their conversation to stare at her, as had the city and the woman. Even Acorn had stopped his nonsensical horse bullshit to watch Anna Harley Pony Pal. Anna walked to the center of the clearing and tilted her head to the sky. She spoke in an icily sharp voice. I am become author, destroyer of texts. At last the night listened. At last it was silent.